Yes. I'm just going to unmute you all.
How is everyone?
Sorry, it's a bit echoey.
I'm just seeing, hang on, whether you, I think you just have to unmute yourselves if you want to chat to me. Anyway, how's everyone going? Can everyone hear me, by the way? Just put your thumb up. Great. Hi, Rosemary. Thank you for that. I'm not just talking to myself. That's fabulous. All right. How's everyone going? Any questions or anything that you want to flag before we start?
Vanessa, it's Fiona.
Hi, Fiona.
I can't put my camera on today because the room I normally use is occupied, so I'm outside and I'm mirroring it on a TV, so you won't be able to see me today.
All right, okay, well, that's fine. Just, you know, the reason I like to be able to see you, obviously, is to correct you, Fiona.
Yeah.
I just think it gives you more value in the class.
Yeah.
But look, that's fine. You know, just follow the instructions and the details, and you know, you can be your own adjuster today.
Yep. Fine.
Okay. No worries. So we're still waiting on quite a few people, actually. So let's just see how we're going here. So let's give them a few more minutes to come on. Okay. So a couple of things. We're in the last week of this lower limb focus, this hip, knee, groin, hip, knee, ankle, foot, I guess, on many levels focus. And I think once we get to this sort of ultimate class in the series, it's really good to just ask yourselves that sort of introspection, if you like, acknowledgement around what have I learnt from this series? You know, it goes for whatever, 9 weeks. What have I learned from this series? I think is an important question. Do I have more access to some of these poses, or at least do I have insight why I don't have access to these poses? And where particularly do these instructions take me? So we've worked a lot with Baddha and Mulabhandasana and these things that really lengthen the thigh muscles and open the hips, and padmasana, which works on the ankle and the foot. You know, where do the principles here, where do they take me to? What do they make more accessible in my practice? So they're just things to consider. You know, you might not get concrete answers here, but they're just things to consider. And one of the incredibly important things, I think, for, you know, in terms of observing the hip, knee, ankle complex, is that as Westerners, we tend to be, as particularly as we get older, we tend to be very stiff in those areas, and we just get stiffer. And that's partly because we sit on chairs, we don't sit on the floor a lot. Probably as yogis, we sit on the floor a lot more. And that tends to lead to all sorts of problems in the hips later on. So, you know, in terms of everyday function, increasing the rotation through the hip socket, strength through the knee, mobility through the ankle, which reverberates all the way up through the body. If you've got stiff ankles and stiff feet, it's a real problem for, you know, the joints above, including the spine and the shoulders, by the way. So, you know, working with these things, partly to deepen your yoga practice, but partly to ensure that you continue to have really good function in the body as you get older. And as you're younger, I find also that prenatally you're very flexible, but postnatally the body starts to really draw in and stabilize, and you often end up with a lot of stiffness in the hips. Not always, but you will, maybe. So that's another thing just to consider. And some of the movements that we've made today in the last 2 months, the principles of these movements, the rotation through the hip, is an incredibly important movement to restore balance in the hips. It doesn't have to be an age thing. Yeah. So from my point of view, you know, the hip movements in terms of your yoga practice are essential to take you into most of the arm balancings, and they're a lot of fun, the arm balancings. So really they're a prerequisite, if you like, to the arm balancings to get this flexibility through the groins. And I mentioned last week, you know, coming into padmasana, lotus pose in headstand and shoulder stand, you know, that's another sort of thing that is nice when it comes, but you have to be able to find padmasana quite easily without using your hands. So that's always interesting. All right, now when you lie back today, you need to be in Baddha Konasana. So if you're not in Baddha Konasana, come up. If you can, put your camera on so I can see you. I know Fiona can't put her camera on today. That's fine. So when you come into Baddha Konasana, Rose, can you just remind me, where are you? I just saw you somewhere there. Rose, how many weeks pregnant are you? I've just lost you.
33.
33, and how are you?
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah, feeling good, energy, you've got energy?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so look, today, really, most things you can do. We are going to sort of do a bit of a flow at the beginning where you go up into headstand, and I don't want you to do that. This feels too unstable. Yeah, so just stay in the sort of wide leg standing pose. You just stay with that, yeah. Anything else I'll tell you as we go along, okay? All right, great. All right, so when you come back, just make sure you mute yourselves, please. Once you've spoken, just make sure you mute yourselves. Otherwise, it's very noisy, very echoey. So you've got your belt, you've got a block, and possibly a second blanket just to support. So if you are very tight in the hips, as I said, some of this work with weights across the thighs can work, but then it's important that you support the hips so you don't overstretch the groins. Block comes in between, you're taking the block this way, so you've got a foot on either side like this. You bring the feet in. And then you've got your usual Baddha Konasana belt. There are different ways you can do this. I think possibly most of you have got this sense that Baddha Konasana is a lot more compact than it's often taught. The heels are really back towards the groins, and then the belt goes around the feet, around the block. You can tighten up there, make sure the belt's not on the feet, and then you can bring the feet towards each other. You know, so you've really got this compactness of finding the calf muscle against the thigh bone. And then from there, you come down. You know, if you look at what this belt does, it takes the thighs down. You know, if it's in a good position, just at the top of the pelvis, it takes the thighs down. Now, if that's strong, and I would say, you two ladies that are pregnant, don't overstretch the groins. I think often the big mistake about, you know, when people teach prenatal yoga is to overstretch the groins. You want to stabilize in pregnancy because you're stabilizing all of that relaxin. So you're here. Beck Riley, I've noticed that you're quite good in Supta Baddha Konasana, so you work with that if that feels good for you. The belt around the top of the sacrum can be really good for traction. And then you're here. Arms out to the sides. It's quite a restorative pose. You know, if you are very tight through the hips, this is where you can support but stay. Start to really get the opening through the inner groins, and that will help your knees if you have knee issues. If it's too strong on the knee, you just have the heels further away from the groin. Yeah, so it's looking good. And back down, that's nice and open, isn't it? Has that improved? Back down with the hips. Yeah, yeah, because that looks much more open to me. That's great. Press the inner heels towards each other. If you press the inner heels and the outer heels, you'll find that the knees will move down. So there is sort of a connection there between those 4 points between the feet. Settle the mind. Be here now. As John Kabat-Zinn says, be here now. So bring your whole self into the class, your whole self onto your mat, not just the physical part of you. So if you notice that your mind is wandering off, thinking about lots of things, then draw the mind back. It's almost like you take hold of it with your hands and you pull it back in and settle it in the breath. You know, you could almost do the action of, you know, stretching out the hand, taking hold of the mind and bringing the hand onto the belly to settle it into the belly, settle it into the breath, the gentle rise and fall of the belly. Notice how the belly lifts as you breathe in, releases back towards the spine as you breathe out. Notice how as you breathe out, the back waist broadens. And as you breathe in, there's a slight contracting of the back waist. So as you become more advanced in your practice, you're being asked to have much finer focus on the details, the ability to focus the mind where it's not everywhere, the ability of the mind to just focus on the sensations, the freedom to pull the mind away from the thinking. You know, it's only thinking. Even if, you know, things are terrible or hard or difficult, and I'm not sort of belittling that feeling, but it is only thinking. So drawing the mind back to the breath, back to the sensations, having a regular yoga practice to bring you in a grounded way onto your mat, even if things are hard. And then from there, place the hands to the floor, bring yourselves up. Carefully take out the block first. It's usually the easiest way, and then it's easy to get the belt off. And from there, forward virasana. So forward virasana, again, I'm going to really sort of emphasize the principles today of what we've worked with, to work with the groins, work with the hips, so that as you come forwards into forward virasana, the feet are apart, the shin bones are parallel to the outer edges of your mat. Now, if this is too hard on your lower back, too hard in the groins, then you take the feet together, the knees apart. If you're pregnant, obviously you've got to take the knees wider. Yep, you make space for your baby. Otherwise, soften through the groins. Release the groins towards the floor. Notice which groin is harder. There is usually a harder groin. Soften the groins down, soften the pit of the groin down and come forwards. Extend the arms forwards, bring the forehead down. Walk the hands in, inhale and come up. And let's come up to the invocation. So take a blanket. Broaden the buttock flesh out to the sides. Take the hands with the thumbs turning into the inner thigh, onto the thighs, and rotate the thighs from inside out. So you've got that external rotation of the thigh bones and external rotation of the shin bones. The shin bones rotate away from the thigh bones. Bring the fingertips to the sides of the hips and raise your spine up. Roll your shoulders back. And then keeping the top chest lifted, particularly from the first rib to the collarbone, keep that lifted. And bring the palms of the hands to the center of the chest. Thumbs to the lower breastbone, to the sternum. Push the sternum up to lift the chest. And then bring the fingers slightly forwards. And notice as you bring the fingers slightly forwards, the shoulders want to roll back, which is where you want to go with this. Press the outer edges of your shoulder blades towards the inner edges of the shoulder blades. Close the eyes. Inhale deeply. Yogena citasya padena vajam malam sharirasya javai jagena yopa karotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankachakra siddhadinam Sahasra Shirsam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Hare Om. Keep your chest lifted as you bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Raise your head up. All right, stretch the legs out in front of you. And come up to standing. So take 2 blocks if you need 2 blocks for Uttanasana. Come to standing at the front of your mat. And Uttanasana, half Ardha Uttanasana, half Uttanasana with the hands on the floor underneath the line of the shoulders. Turn the hands out 90 degrees. If you're very stiff in the morning, you could always take your feet wider. It's really hard to come down. You know, Erica, I can't see you exactly, but you know, it's hard to come down in the morning, start to really work, you know, with wider feet. Fingers out to the sides. Press down through all four corners of your feet. Inner heels, outer heels, face the big toes, face the little toes. And now travel your side chest forwards, almost so it comes beyond the upper arms, forwards. So Beck Riley, really important action for you, that traveling of the chest forwards to really create space through your spine and to drop the disc away from the spinal cord. You know, it's almost a back bend in a forward bend. Lift the kneecaps, lift the thigh muscles, really elongate the thighs up. The bones can be long and they can be short. Sounds really strange. But the bones can be long because the muscles lever the bones up. They also contract the bones if the muscles are very tight. Draw the whole thigh bone up into the hip socket and look forwards. Now from there, spread your arms. Take your arms as wide as you can. Ella, you need to start adjusting here. Obviously, you don't want to create any compression. Rose, excuse me, bit of frog in my throat. Rose, of course, you're concave. Ella, you need to start adjusting. So if it's too compressed, you could be here. You know, you can come down a little bit, but don't come down to compression. When you fold, fold really sharply from this front thigh crease, not from the lower back. Fold from the front thigh crease. Keep the lower belly broad as you come down. Don't contract through the lower belly. Let the crown of the head face the floor. Lengthen your side chest down and press the inner heels down. Lift the front thighs right up, the back thighs right up. Downward facing dog, place your hands to step back. So I will alert you to some of the things I think are really important with this term's working. One is how we've worked with downward dog. So if you're still unclear about this, please unmute yourselves and let me know. If it's a work in progress, just have a sense of it. So first of all, when you come into downward dog, so much of the weight is through the arms and in the hands. And you want to bring the weight back into the legs. So first of all, turn the inner thighs back, the inner knees back, and you'll start to take the thighs back. And then holding that, take the outer knees and the outer thighs back to really hold the legs back in this pose. Now from there, start to allow the shoulders to release onto the arms and the arms to lengthen forwards into the palms of the hands and the crown of the head to press forwards. So you start to get that action of the whole spine hanging from the legs. Deep inward, deep outward breath, find it again. Inner thigh goes back, inner knee goes back. Outer thigh goes back, outer knee goes back. Hold that. And then start to release. Start to release your side chest, your shoulders onto your arms. So you get the length through your side chest, you're not shortening there. Hold your upper arms into the shoulder sockets, deep into the shoulder socket. Now from there, raise your head up, bend your knees, and step your right foot forward. So Beck Riley, you come into forward virasana, you come up to standing, and then you set yourself up on the wall for padmasana. Exactly, yeah. All right, turn the left heel down towards the floor. Padmasana. Really soften through the inner right groin. Take the inner right groin back behind you. Soften through the groin. Turn the left buttock away from the right buttock and create space, that wedge between the top of your thigh and the front hip bone, as though you have literally a wedge in there. There's space there. Look forwards with a concave back. Yeah. And pregnant ladies, I think that you know enough now. Most of the time, if you're unsure, ask me, but make sure there's always space there. So those of you who can, Keep the front, inner groin reaching back, the outer hip reaching back as you start to come down over your leg. You can extend the arms forwards. Raise the head up to come up, bend the front knee, and you're going to turn your feet into Prasarita Padmasana. Sorry, I've got my back to you, but I want to show you what we're doing. Hands underneath the line of the shoulders, press the inner heels, the outer heels. Walk the hands back to bring the crown of the head down. Now, if you have a firm contact with the crown of your head and your hands, check your arms, check your hands, that they are in 3-point headstand. So this is a harping back to last term, maybe the first term of the year. God, I can't remember anymore, where we did a lot of 3-point headstand. Make sure that your arms are in 3-point headstand. Squeeze the outer elbows in, press the elbows back behind you, and then from there, you're going to come up. So up to 3-point headstand, which you hold. Elbows in, pressing the elbows away from the wall. Center buttock in, hold, lift. Now, obviously, you could walk the feet in and go up bent knees. You don't need to go up straight legs. But this is, one of the poses that you have more access to when you're opening through the groins. And then you're out to the sides, buttocks up, torso up to come down. Prasarita. Walk the hands forwards. Turn the right foot out, come into a lunge and step back, downward facing dog. Now, if this is all too hard, you stay with Prasarita, you don't bother with the 3-point headstand, or you walk the feet in and you come up bent knees. So this one I'm going to watch. Step your left foot forwards into a lunge. From there, straighten your front leg. Turn the inner left groin back and the outer left hip back. So the back of the left thigh is broad. It's not rotated forwards, it's broad. Lengthen from the outer knee to the outer hip. Ella, more from the outer knee to the outer hip. That's better. And turn your right buttock away from the left. Find that little space. You can even bring your fingertips into the space between the top of the thigh and the front hip. Really important, that space. Draw the left leg up. You'll find that you have much more length through your hamstring if you start to create that space. That's it, Ella. That focus is really good. Yeah. Turning now. So take the arms forward. Sorry if you can. Take the arms forwards if you can. Sorry, guys, I missed out a stage to bring the head onto the leg. And when you come down, when you take the head down onto the leg, the length of the spine, the front spine needs to move forward. So we tend to shorten the front of the spine. That's it, Colleen, that's better. So from navel to sternum, bottom sternum to top sternum, you're long. And then from there, walk the hands back in, lift the head up and turn to Prasarita Padmasana. Outer edges of your feet parallel. First of all, come into the pose with the hands underneath the line of the shoulders and lengthen your spine forwards. This is a nice one because you can still do it in pregnancy. You still go right down in pregnancy because there's space. Draw the legs into the hip sockets. So that action of drawing the legs into the hip sockets is really important as you take the legs up into headstand. Make sure that your arms are truly in 3-point headstand. Outer elbows to inner elbows. Press the elbows away from you between your legs. That will lift your shoulders. And now press your head into the ground and go up. So you either go both legs up together or you walk the feet in, bend the knees and go up. Up to you which way you want to go. You have to squeeze the elbows in to raise the legs up. Lift your shoulders, press your elbows towards me to raise the legs up. Yeah, a lot of you are up, that's great. Elbows go in, who's that? Erica, elbows in. Elbows in, because the elbows are splaying. Don't let the elbows splay, Erica. Bring the elbows in. Yes, Ella, elbows in, especially the right one, Ella. Both of them in, squeeze them in. Ah, and then elbows towards me. So the weight is through the thumbs, the base of the thumbs. It's really important. Yes, who's that going up as well? Stephanie, fantastic. Try it. You know, we want to be brave in yoga. We want to be courageous. Keep moving forwards. Yeah. Okay. Good. So from there, when you come down, come straight down into Prasarita if you can. And Stephanie, that headstand is looking much straighter than it was previously. Prasarita, crown of the head down. Yeah. So you could practice that next to the wall if you're worried about balance, and then turn towards your left, downward facing dog. Inner heels down, downward facing dog. Take the inner knee back, take the inner heel down, right down now. Press your tailbone towards your heels. Take your buttocks down, inner heels down to the floor. Elongate the calf muscles. And now take your outer heel bones down. Outer heel bones right down. Go down with the outer heel bones. Inner knees back, inner thighs back, outer knees, outer thighs back. Now release your shoulders onto your arms. Ah, yes, that movement. So you hold the pose with your legs, and then you can hang the torso from the legs. Let the shoulders come down onto the arms, so the whole side chest lengthens down. Yeah, that's coming, that's coming. Maria Alves, thighs back. Yeah. And more, Maria Alves, shoulders onto arms, more. Just let it hang. And then raise your head up, bend your knees, step forwards. And come all the way up. All right, take a blanket, please. So take a two-fold blanket. So you can see it's a half-fold blanket on my mat. And you're going to go and sit in Upavishta Konasana. So the blanket is underneath my buttocks, but it's also underneath my top thigh, a little bit at least. Take your hands behind you with the fingers pointing back. Raise your spine up, roll your shoulders back. Really lift your chest up. Press the back of the thighs towards the floor. Raise your head up to look up at the ceiling. Shoulder blades in. And then keeping the chest lifted, just bring the head to neutral. But the chest really lifted. Thigh bones down. Feel that the thigh bone draws back into the hip socket. It stabilizes, but it elongates the thigh bone. So don't, see if you can change a sense of your bones of being sort of this cancellous, hard, rigid structure. You know, live bones are obviously have a very good blood supply. They're mobile. You know, they bend. We know they bend. So draw the legs, draw the thigh bones into the hip sockets. And then from there, you're going to bend up your right knee. Now, when you bend up your right knee, don't shorten the right thigh bone. Keep the right thigh bone elongating away. And now, just bring that heel in from the long thigh bone. And bring your shin bone right back against your thigh. Again, unless you've got knee issues. If you've got knee issues, you could bring a belt into that knee crease. And if you have a knee injury in the future, working with these poses is really important to heal, but putting your belt there or something to create space there. So you've got long thigh bone, long shin bone. Turn your fingers back, raise your spine up. And then from there, you're going to fold forwards. So bring the hands forward. Some of you will obviously stay sitting up. Even with pregnancy, you could come forwards a bit. Soften the pit of the right groin as you come forwards. Turn the left side chest down. And then walk the hands in. And from there, you're going to turn your right foot out 90 degrees. You know, it's a Marichiasana movement, isn't it? You know, this leg is in a squat, in a Malasana. In order not to feel it in the knee, rotate the right thigh bone out, rotate the right shin bone out, and this is okay for pregnancy as well. Take the elbow to the inside of the knee and turn the torso. Turn from the right buttock. Turn from the right back ribs towards the left leg. So you're facing over your left leg. Turn your belly, soften your belly, turn your belly. Soften your belly, turn your belly. And then release that action. Come back into Upavishta. Konasana. Fingers pointing back. Bones long. Back of your thigh bone towards the floor. Roll your shoulders back. Raise your chest up. Look back towards the ceiling. Press the outer shoulder blade towards the inner shoulder blade to lift the chest up. Bring the head back to neutral. Bend up the left knee. And bring the left leg in. Again, keeping the calf close to the thigh, left thigh bone long. Roll your shoulders back, raise your chest up. Press the right thigh towards the floor. And then from there, soften through the pit of the left groin, the right groin, as you come forwards. You just come forwards as you can. So you might be here, slightly forwards, but with the back almost concave, or you might be able to come all the way down. Inhale to come up. Second variation, toes of the left foot turn out 90 degrees. So when you turn the foot out 90 degrees, the whole left thigh rotates out, the whole left shin rotates out. You know, you're trying to get this rotation through the knee, hip, and ankle. Elbow comes to the middle. Turn from the left buttock. So we're going to move on next turn to twists, and the turning action from the pelvis is really important. Don't just turn from the lumbar spine. Turn from the left buttock. And then from there back to the center. Stretch both legs out. Bend your knees in and extend your legs forwards. Bring your feet together. If you're pregnant, feet hip distance apart, always beyond first trimester, feet hip distance apart. Downward facing dog. So downward facing dog, feet together if you're not pregnant, feet apart if you're pregnant. Start to bring those details into your own practice. Notice as you turn the inner thigh back, the inner knee back, the outer thigh back, the outer knee back, you start to get more length through your lumbar, through your side waist. And then the legs hold you to be able to then allow the shoulders to drop into the arms and the arms towards the hands. Yeah, Ella, that's better. Who else can I see sideways? Yeah, Kay as well. Georgia, I think that's great. I'm not quite seeing you sideways, but it's happening. Who's that at the top? Rosemary. Hold the legs back more and see if you can drop the spine. See if you can drop the, that's it, that's it. That's the movement. All right, walk the hands back towards the feet. And come up. Take your mats to the wall for handstand. If you're not handstanding, you'll do the arm variations with the hands on the wall in half dog. So have a block. Hands on either side. And see if today you can just step up quite lightly. You know, you've already got the legs through the hamstrings, the groin, so on, with the work we've done this morning. So make it as light as possible. Of course, handstand wants to get very light if you ever want to come into the balance in the center of the room. If it's heavy, you're always pushed over. So taking the block a little bit away from the wall. If the hands are turned out, the block can't be right against the wall. It needs to be about a block's length from the wall. Turn the palms out. Squeeze the block with the hands. Spread your fingers. Squeeze the block with the wrists. Lift the belly towards your spine. And from there, kick up. So once you're up, squeeze the wrists into the block to bring your upper arm deep into the shoulder socket, into the sort of medial inner shoulder socket. You have to hold there with handstand. Press your heels against the wall, lift the center buttock away from the wall. Extend up through your legs to keep the spine lifted, but allow the shoulders to drop into the arms, so you have the stability through the arms. Deep inward, deep outward breath, bring the head off the wall. Your head is on the wall. And step down. Uttanasana. And come up. So second variation is the one that we've been doing that feels a bit odd. I guess this variation helps to straighten the elbows, not to hyperextend, but it also eventually brings us into that one, to Mayurasana. So middle fingers touching, take the hands down, kick up. If you're very nervous about this, just do the hand variation on the wall in half dog so that you can get used to the hand variation. If you're pregnant and you feel uncomfortable with this, don't do something that makes you unsafe. You definitely don't want to be falling out of this. So then just go fingers forwards. Yeah. Yeah, good to see. Lots of you are getting up. Good to see. Now, squeeze the upper arms towards each other and now lift your legs up. Use your legs to take you up. Use your legs to lift your spine, but allow the shoulders to come down onto the arms. Doesn't mean you're getting really heavy there, but it feels as though you're sinkholing the arms into the floor. Yeah, be brave with that other leg. The other leg has to go up, guys. You've got two legs. It's got to be a 1-2 action. Sometimes, you know, that ding-dong action, ding-dong. Ding with the first heel, dong with the second. Ding dong, quick, quick, quick. It has to go up fast, otherwise it gets too heavy. Uttanasana, step down, Uttanasana. You could have the backs of your wrists on the floor for Uttanasana. Ella probably concave back. And then inhale and come up. All right, we're going to come into a couple of standing poses. Bring your mat into the center of the room.
Vanessa, my right calf is still a bit dodgy.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that you could work with. What do standing poses aggravate it?
Oh, it's just even like with with full dog pose, I still keep the feet up on the wall.
Okay, that's good. And the other thing that you can do, if you've got a wedge, do I have a wedge in this room? Maybe not, but even without a wedge. So I've got one of these half blocks, Petra, and what you could do is have the heel up on the half block. So that's probably a little bit high. It might be better even to use a blanket, so that your calf, so if I'm here, I literally just have the calf up a bit here, so that the heel's up. You know, that can often feel a little bit better to just support the heel so that it's not overstretched, yeah? So you could give that a go. Then I would have your back foot to the wall so that you're stable. See how it goes, all right? So stand in Tadasana. Roll your shoulders back. Press all four corners of your feet into the floor. Centre buttock forwards, front thighs back. Jump or step the feet, Padmasana. Turn the toes of the left foot in 5 degrees, the toes of the right foot out 90 degrees, align your feet. Inhale as you exhale, bend your right knee. Now elongate your right thigh bone towards your knee as you come down. Don't allow this thigh to be short. And extend the thigh, lengthen the thigh or the knee, right knee away from the left knee. Then extend out to take your hand down. So the palm is in front of your thigh, and then you're going to duck down. So if you're pregnant, probably this is enough, or you can use a block, or you can come here. Otherwise, you duck down and you clasp behind, the hands behind the back. Press the right greater trochanter forwards and the right knee back, and then turn. Turn the left shoulder back, take the head back. Press the outer edge of your left foot into the floor. Turn your right waist forwards. Take the right palm down to the floor, arm straight, hand underneath the line of the shoulder. Turn the right waist forwards, right greater trochanter forwards. Extend your top arm up and over the line of the ear. Raise the left arm up and come up. Turn the feet to the center and go to the other side. So you can use a block here. You can do the different variations. You don't need to do the full strong pose. Inhale as you exhale, bend the left knee away from the right knee. Elongate the left thigh bone. Sit the left buttock down. And then take the left hand down to the floor or down to your block. So Rose, I think you could have more space between the feet. I can just see the right leg needs to go back further. So when you adjust distance, rather adjust the back leg than the front leg. Take the left hand down, great. Turn the left waist forwards, turn the right shoulder back, and then duck down with the left shoulder and clasp behind the buttocks, behind the lower back. And you can feel your hands behind the left buttock, so press the left buttock forwards, left greater trochanter forwards, and take your head back, take your shoulders back. You know, you're not looking around a cul-de-sac here. You are lengthening along a highway. Don't look towards the sort of the front. Take the head back. Nice, that's coming well for a lot of you. Take the left hand down, hold that action, take the left hand down, don't lose the action through the torso. Now raise the top arm up and extend the arm over the line of the ear. And Ella, you could step your right foot back further. You're too narrow. It's very much a quadratus lumborum stretch for you, Ella, which is incredibly important for your back to start to get length through the quadratus lumborum. And then raise the top arm up, inhale, and come all the way up. Turn your feet to the center and step or jump the feet back, padmasana. All four corners of your feet on the floor. Roll your shoulders back. Buttocks, center buttock forwards, front thighs back. Trikonasana, Rebecca Riley, you're doing Ardha Chandrasana as you did on Thursday. So Ardha Chandrasana, either you're back against the wall or the foot up the wall with your hand on a block. The rest of you, jump, step the feet. Trikonasana. Wide Trikonasana, the same width as you had for Pajvakonasana. Toes of the left foot in about 5 degrees, toes of the right foot out 90 degrees. Turn the left waist back, even up the lines of the hips so you're not here before you go anywhere. Inhale as you exhale, reach over your right leg. So some of you probably at this stage, if you soften through the groin, you can allow the right waist to release down and you can take the hand right down underneath the line of the shoulder. For some of you, you might be able to take the palm flat underneath the line of the shoulder. This is where you start to get more access through the groins. Press the right greater trochanter forwards, soften through the groin, turn the right chest forwards and extend the top arm up towards the ceiling. Lengthen from the right waist to the right armpit. Inhale to come up. Turn the feet to the center and go towards the left. Inhale as exhale as you reach out. Front knee is straight. Janette, front knee is straight. Your Trikonasana. Trikonasana, front knee is straight. Right hand comes down. That's it. Soften through the pit of the left groin. So again, for those of you with back issues, lengthening the left side waist to the left armpit to really start to create space through the quadratus lumborum is really important, because if that's tight, it's going to continue to compress your discs. Top arm reaching towards the ceiling. Now, from the left breast, turn up towards the right palm. Yes, comes through the chest, doesn't it? It's not a head thing, a neck thing, it's a chest rotation. Nice. Who's that? Yeah, Ria, very nice. Ria, draw the left leg back into the hip socket more. Yeah, so this instruction is really for you. That quadratus I can see is getting longer, which is great because it takes the pressure off the disc. Psoas, quadratus, really important to get them long. Press into your back foot, inhale, and come up. Turn your feet to the center and jump back, Tadasana. Ardha Padma Padmasana. So find yourselves a support. I think you can all see me over here on the Tressler. Tressler's so nice to be able to use. Actually, sorry, I'm going to use the wall. I think because you've all got a wall, I'll use a wall. So stand with your feet, you know, about an arm's length away from the wall. You'll bend up the right knee, bring the right knee high. So it's already in position to come into Padmasana. And you're going to take the foot from underneath the outer blade of the foot, so that as I bring it in, there is a rotation of the shin, there's a rotation of the thigh to bring that foot in. So it's as high as I can get it, and I can keep pushing it up. So I'm going to keep pushing up with the outer edge of my right foot to start to bring my right knee towards my left knee. Now notice as I bring my right knee towards my left knee, this all goes back, the buttock area. So I'm going to resist that and bring the center buttock forwards. And that's where I really come into that front thigh. Everybody can do this. Yeah, Beck, if it's too much, Beck Riley, Beck Dunn, you do Vrixasana, tree pose. Otherwise you lie on your back and you do Padmasana on your back. Center buttock forwards, right knee back, raise the chest up. Now some of you can probably reach that right arm behind you. You can always turn around so you can hold the wall to hold onto that right foot from behind, centre buttock goes forwards, right knee goes down. You can take the left arm up. And release. Turn around to the other side. So starting to come in more into the full pose now. Bending up the left knee, take the left knee high, it's as though you're marching. If you get the left knee high, you're already in position to hold the outer edge of your left foot and then to rotate the outer edge of the left foot up towards the ceiling as you lengthen the knee down. Start to lengthen the knee down towards the floor. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. That's it, yeah. Now notice how the buttocks start to sit back then. It's a bit of the Goldilocks, isn't it? Little bit of this, little bit of that, so it's just right. Centre buttock moves in towards your left leg, in towards your right foot. Now if you can, swing the left arm behind you and hold on to the left foot, left big toe, that's it. Turn the front corner of the left shoulder back. The left
Vanessa,
shoulder, yeah.
If this is really hard on the ankle, what to do?
I would come into this, Petra, so that you get the action. You're here, you can still hold the foot, and you start to work this, yeah? You start to work the leg down. It's not quite so strong when you're lying on your back. So to get the action, rather than Vriksasana, which will never get you into this, it's probably better to do that action on your back. Yes, that's probably better. Really look for, if it's hard in the ankle, it's probably because you're not getting enough rotation through your shin. So take your left hand onto your shin now and turn it outwards. From the back of the shin to the inner shin, turn. You want to come from the shin bone. All right, release. Turn around to the other side. You're going to raise your right knee up, take hold. Keep hold of that foot with your left hand, and in an arc, take yourselves down. So now you're here. So the issues here, just watch for a minute before you go into this. The issues here is the right knee goes too far back. You have to keep the right knee slightly pressing forwards, and this hip drops, the standing hip drops. So you lift the left hip up slightly so that this is even through the sacrum. And then you can reach forwards, press the outer blade of the foot into that front thigh crease and fold over it to start to come down into the pose. Yeah. So it's up to you how far you want to go with this. Yeah, Ella, that's looking good. Great, don't squash the belly. It's really a wonderful fulcrum for the lower back. If you really press the heel up into the lower belly, it's a fantastic fulcrum for the lower back. Keep pressing the heel up into the belly as you're down. It's the pose in action. Now press the back of the left leg slightly forwards to the front of the left leg so you don't feel like you're overloading the hamstrings. And then inhale and come up. So there tends to be this sense of overload of the hamstrings here. You have to resist the back of the leg forwards and go to the other side. Yeah. As you're ready, go up with the Padmasana leg. Beck, done. Could I ask you to lie on your back and do these poses on your back, please? Because this way is not really that useful, yeah? Lie on your back and do Padmasana on your back. That's going to be better, I think, for your hips and your knees. And then as you, in your own time, you can fold forwards and start to come forwards. Rose, you probably need to be up, I would say. At this stage, not a lot of space is there to come forwards. Yeah, it's interesting how pregnancy sort of starts usually, you know, at the top of the belly and then extends down into the lower belly, so there's a lot less space through the lower belly. Exhale to come forwards. That's nice. It's looking good. Spread the buttocks. Spread the back of the right thigh. Resist the back of the right thigh slightly forwards. Rosemary, I wonder if you could do that on your back as well. I can't quite see. I mean, it looks like it's coming okay. I'd almost stay up for the time being. And then exhale and release to come up. Yeah, try and come up with the Padmasana legs so you straighten your legs. So into Bekasana, everyone's favourite. We worked with a couple of things, didn't we, last week? Last week, I can't remember, maybe the week before, where you tied your leg. If you've got problems with your shoulders, it's actually good to tie your leg up because it's quite hard through the shoulder. But otherwise, you're going to go, if I work here, facing the wall, I'm taking hold. Have a look at how I come into this. I've got my thumb to the inner instep, and I'm holding the inside of my foot. People were doing all sorts of interesting things on Thursday. Let the knee come out to the side and work the hand as close to the ankle as you can, and then it's easier. It's not easy, but it's easier to get that action. The elbow has to go back, the shoulder goes back to turn the fingers, and then you can start to bring that foot in. Buttocks forwards, knee, right knee in towards the left knee. And it's better if the fingers are up. Mine sort of go out to the side. My second attempt is usually a bit better, but yeah. So take hold of your foot from the inner foot. The thumb sits on the instep, and then turn your fingers in an anti-clockwise direction up towards the ceiling, or at least out to the side. Elbow comes back, shoulder comes back. And then the last action, if you like, is to bring the knee, the right knee in towards the left knee because it wants to sit out to the side, and take the center buttocks in. And now really elongate the front thigh down and see if you can bring the foot close to the hip, as close to the hip as you can, bring it in. Yeah, and if you can't get the shoulder action, you just, yeah, Rose, that's really coming, that's coming, exactly, exactly. Elbow back, roll the shoulder back, right shoulder back. And then exhale and release, and go to the other side. Yeah, it's coming really well for a lot of you, that's great. Go to the other side. I find this is a pose that you almost need to do twice to each side to get the full, you know, potential of the action. So thumb to the instep, rotate this time the fingers in a clockwise direction. Often one shoulder is easier than the other. Elbow back, shoulder back, elbow back towards me. Now press the heel right to the hip. Right to the hip. And bring the knee, the left knee into the right knee. That's it. Center buttock forwards. Yeah. Yeah, that's it, Petra. Nice. And then exhale and release. Tadasana. So let's just go once more. I know it's a hard pose, it's an awkward pose, but you often find second time around that you find it much more easily. So thumb to the inner one, and then this one, if you can see with me, I can then come into the full grip. I don't know why that happens to me, but only second time around can I actually get in there. Elbow goes back, shoulder goes back, buttocks forwards, and then the heel comes right in towards the hip. And raise the spine up. And then release. And it's a real contraction of the hamstring, isn't it, as well? And go to the other side. Rotate. Elbow back, shoulder back. Stand tall through your spine. Buttocks in. And release. Half dog to the wall. Step forwards, inhale, and come up. Supta Virasana. Take a bolster or take blocks, whatever you need. If you can go low, I quite like blocks in the, you know, in terms of a resting pose after standing poses. Blocks are easy. So you might use them on their second height there. If you find Supta Virasana very difficult, you could use them on their top height. Otherwise, you could go flat here so that you're here for Supta Virasana. Spread the buttocks, spread the back waist. Notice as you come to Supta Virasana, you can be quite contracted towards the back waist. So wrap from your spine around the waist to the navel as you come down, and you keep the back much longer, and then you can come down into Supta Virasana this way. This way. Now, if you want more of a challenge, you could come down into Matsyasana. Is there anyone up for that wants to go into Padmasana and back? Anyone? Put your hand up.
What is the easiest? My back and knees, I can't do that at all.
Yeah, so back and knees I would go. So if knees are tricky, so a couple of options, Maria. You could go here if it's back.
Okay.
You could go here, you could sit up on a threefold.
Okay.
You know, here, then you could go up, shoulder blades, whoops, here,
And then
whoops. And then this other one, wherever it's gone, underneath the head. So it's much more open for the back and it's not so strong for the knees. Yeah? You can give that a go.
thanks.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to do Matsyasana, you can go into Padmasana and then lay back. Don't know if anyone's looking at that. I'll do it so that if you want to, you can give it a go. You know, we're really plumbing the depths of what we've done this term. But, you know, coming back into Matsyasana, that rotation is really important. So the way you come into Padmasana is so important. If you come into it poorly, you'll end up with pain through the ankle or maybe pain through the knee. So you're really looking for the rotation. Comes up into the thigh as deep as you can get it. The other one the same. Comes up. You get the rotation through the shin bones, rotation through the thigh bones. And then from there, you can start to come down to Matsyasana. You can see it takes me a while to get my knees down, but in order to get my knees down, I'm really pushing my shoulder blades up, my center buttock up, to start to bring my knees down. Now, if that's too strong, I could just take the blocks higher. Yep. So I'm really extending down. And Matsyasana will eventually take you into Shirsasana with Padmasana legs. So you're here. Yep. So if you want to go into that, you're welcome. As you lay back, you need to hold the outer hips in. Yeah, great, Georgia. Yeah. And if your knees are way off the floor, it's good to support that bottom knee with a blanket so it's not sort of in the air. Yeah, Georgia, that's great. Fabulous. I can see some of you. You could always do half Padmasana if it's too much. Yeah. So lift the center buttock up, lift the shoulder blades in, and you'll find the knees start to elongate down. So those of you who have gone into Matsyasana, come up shortly, change sides. We won't stay there for a long time. Those of you in Supta Virasana, if you're comfortable, you stay. Otherwise, you could go forwards. Who's that? Stephanie. Great. So some of you are there, aren't you, in Padmasana? Or you can just do Swastikasana. Simple cross legs and go back. That's fine as well. So make sure you've done both sides if you're doing Matsyasana, something to practice at home. Yeah. All right. In your own time, come up and go forwards. come up and go forwards. So just come forwards into forward virasana. And then inhale and come up. So set yourselves up a headstand. We're going to go about 3 minutes in headstand, and then we'll work with Upavishta Konasana, Baddha Konasana, and Padmasana in headstand. You could always do half Padmasana. I will face the camera and do it with you. Try and face the camera so you can see how I get into Padmasana in headstand, and you know how that would progress for you. If you feel a bit unsafe, have your back maybe not on the wall but close to the wall so that you could, you know, the wall's there. So we'll do about 3 minutes in straight headstand. We have been working. Thursday we did the full 5 minutes. That's something to keep working with. So, you know, those of you who do a home practice, many of you I know do a home practice, start incorporating the 5 minute headstand into your practice. You know, a regular thing, at least a couple of times a week. You'll find it will really balance your mood doing headstand for that long and shoulder stand for an equal amount of time. Okay, be ready to go. Now, before you go, have a look at your hands. Are the wrists broad? So the wrists need to be broad in order for the trapezius, the top shoulder, to be broad. Now press the wrist bones down and soften your fingers. Then bring the crown of the head down and make your way up. If you're not doing headstand, let me just check, is there anyone not doing headstand? So if you're not doing headstand, could you lie back over a chair? I think you're all doing headstand. Okay. Good. Great. Great to see 21 people doing headstand. Fantastic. It's really something, isn't it, hey? All right, you walk in, light, and up. Try and make sure you can see your camera. Press your wrist bones down. Broaden the wrist bones to broaden the top shoulder. Wrist bones down. And now curl the little finger side of your hand slightly. It's only a very small movement towards your head. And notice that that helps you lift your shoulders. Press the crown of your head into the floor firmly. If you're pregnant, the feet are apart, or the toes are together and the heels are apart. Otherwise, take the feet hip distance apart. Actually, everyone can do this. Point your toes and lift the legs up. Lift the legs up. And that helps to take your spine up. If you lift the legs, the spine goes up. The wrist bones go down. Don't push your shoulders forwards. Rather, elongate your upper arms into your shoulders. And then bring the feet together. Keep the legs lifted, the center buttock coming in. Come into the breath. Wrist bones down. Elongate the upper arms into your shoulders. Center buttock forwards.
Find that moment of balance where the weight is through the center of your forearm bones, not the elbows. Upavishta Konasana, toes pointing forwards. Press down evenly through both wrist bones, lift evenly through both shoulders. Notice if one sinks. Shirsasana. Legs together. Center buttock in. Baddha Konasana. All four corners of your feet pressing. Center buttock in and heels back. Shoulders lifting. Every time you bring your legs down, gravity gets a little bit heavier. You get heavier in the shoulders. Lift the shoulders up. Knees go back, center buttock in, heels slightly forwards. Don't take the heels right back. Shirsasana. Now from there, take the legs slightly apart towards Upavishta, and you're going to bring the left leg in first. Left leg, slide that foot down so it comes right into the front thigh crease. Either then you can sit the right foot behind the left knee for Ardha Padmasana, or you bring that leg in to Padmasana, knees back, center buttock forwards, shoulder blades onto the back. You need to really lift your lower back up to take the knees back. Release. So you might just do Ardha Padmasana. At least it's a way in, isn't it? Shoulders up. Slightly out to Upavishta and bring the right leg in. You'll often find one leg's easier than the other, one side's easier than the other. And then that foot can go behind or in front to Padmasana. Squeeze the hips towards each other. Center buttock in. Lift the lower back up. Take the knees back. Press your wrist bones down. Release. Shirsasana. Urdhva Dandasana, come down halfway and hold. Not if you're pregnant, you come all the way down. Hold. Lift your shoulders. Lift the back thighs up. Shoulders up. And touch to the floor. Just touch. Forward Virasana. Downward facing dog. Knees to the floor. Come up. So let's see where we are. Oh, we're good, we've got time, fantastic. I'm going to say, let's go threefold, let's go twofold again, twofold blanket. And have a couple of blocks beside you and have a belt, please. So sitting on your blanket for Upavishta Konasana. And I'll show you the different ways that we're going to work with this. So this is nice for pregnancy. It works well for pregnancy, this pose, but obviously don't overstretch the groins. Bring your fingertips behind you, fingertips pointing back, raise your spine up, press the back thigh towards the floor.
Now from the left buttock, so think about, have a feel of where the center buttock crease is. So I don't mean horizontally, I mean between the buttocks, that line. Turn from that line, turn the left buttock around so that from the left buttock, you're turning over your right leg. And then you'll reach to hold on to the outer edge of your right foot. And once more, you can lift up and turn from your left buttock, shift your navel towards the right leg. Now, if that's too much, you have your belt there. You take the belt around the foot. You know, pregnancy, probably you're going to need to be there. Rose, definitely. Ella, maybe you can hold the foot. Here. Use your right hand on the outside of your right knee to rotate the belly, soften the belly. Really important with twists. The belly has to be soft. Not so easy if you're pregnant, hey? But turn the belly muscles. And then as you can, you slowly start to come down. Keep reaching back through the left leg. If it's too strong, you let this left thigh roll in. You can always correct it later as you come down. And then if you feel safe, if you can, you hold on to the foot with both hands. Now from there, you're going to come into Parivrita Pajvakonasana. Parivrita Upavishta Konasana. So bring the left hand in front of the right leg and then right palm to the floor, extend out. So with pregnancy, you can probably do this actually. So make sure you've got space. Now there are a couple of options here. Either if you can, you walk the hand out, the right waist is long, again, it's that quadratus stretch. You then turn the palm up towards the ceiling, thumb down towards the floor and catch hold of that inner foot. You're going to turn your spine, turn your ribs, right ribs down towards the floor and reach over to take hold of the outside edge of the foot. The important thing is getting this leg through the right side waist. The right elbow comes forwards and towards the foot. If you can't get the elbow down, you use a block. You can use that block, or here I've got one of these half blocks, which works quite well. Elbow comes down. Because it's important to have some support underneath the elbow, and then I could work this way, belt around the foot, elbow down, and I can work that way so I can still get a rotation, because sometimes when I'm down too far, I get stuck and I can't get any rotation. And this is a twist, you know, rotation, rotation. So then I can be up further and I can get more of a rotation there. And I'll watch. Yeah. Keep lifting. So try, if you can, to lift your right side waist up slightly and turn your right ribs further forwards and your left elbow back. And remember, it's not a cul-de-sac action. What do I mean by that? That you're looking forwards, you know, creating a sort of little loop of a cul-de-sac. It's rather a long high waist. You take your head back. You take your chest back. That's it. That's coming. That's coming. Nice. Soften through the right groin. Release the pit of the groin. And then release. Inhale and come up. So with back issues, if you've had enough, you could lie on your back and you could do with your legs up the wall, and you can do some of these with your legs up the wall. You can do half padmasana with your legs up the wall, but you can give your back a rest. I mean, many of you who have had back issues seem to really be improving a lot. So you're going to go to the other side. So from that center vertical buttock crease, turn towards the left leg. So the whole belly turns towards the left leg first of all. Turn the right ribs away from your spine. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Really turn. You'll find it will release so much stiffness through the lower back, these poses. They're really great.
Vanessa, can you show again what happens with the back hip in this?
What shows with the, sorry, Petra?
So when we're turning to the left side, what do I have to do with the right hip?
Ah, okay, no, good question, really good question. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying here is if you don't turn from here, if you don't turn from this buttock, from this pelvis, you start to just create sprain through the sacroiliac joint, but often through the lumbar, because the way the lumbar is designed, beautifully designed by nature, whoever, the lumbar joints are not designed to twist a lot. They twist a little bit, but they don't twist a lot. The upper back, the rib cage, is designed to do most of the twisting. But you want to get as much potential from that lower back area as possible. So start your twist from your center buttock crease. This right hip bone turns forwards, yeah? And it follows with the belly, the softness through the belly. I'm going to let that go a little bit to get myself down, and then lift and turn through the belly. So I'm already really turning this right frontal hip bone down towards the floor. I'm not making it sit back. That's going to give me a lot of back problems. You know, this is the thing about yoga. Done correctly, it's an absolute healing. Done poorly, it can create lots of problems. So you come down here. So you're really turning from this right buttock to come down. Then the lumbar starts to turn, and then the rib cage doesn't even need to do a lot of turning there. And you know, I could let this go a little bit if I want to, if I'm a bit tight through the groin. Otherwise I can reach it back. And then from there you're going to go in Parivrtta, soften the left waist down and extend the left arm out along the floor. Notice how the left waist sort of pulls up, lengthen it forwards. Again, that's a quadratus action here. And turn the palm up towards the ceiling, thumb down towards the floor, take hold of the foot. This elbow, this front elbow goes towards the foot and forwards towards the camera. And then I'm going to extend up. If I've got a shoulder issue, I could go this way. Otherwise, I extend up and over. And as I said, you're not looking forwards here. You're taking the head back, the elbow back to turn. Soften the pit of the left groin, soften the pit of the right groin to turn. Keep turning the left ribs down towards the floor. Right ribs back towards your spine. And release to come up. So I'm aware that we're running reasonably late here. I'm going to get you to come into Padmasana. So I think last groin pose. Take a belt. We talked about this on Thursday. You're going to take the belt underneath the feet and wrap them tightly. Yeah, so you're pulling them together. Cross the belt over on the inner feet. So it's really around the center of my foot. And then I'm going to take those two strands around my ankles here. Have I done this right? Sorry. How does that work? And then I'm going to tighten this. So make it really tight. So that basically I've got one round around my feet and the other around my ankles, and then I'm going to turn my feet together to Padmasana. So it's not exactly as I've done it before. I don't want to get too into that. Probably need to go into it again. But basically the belt is holding my feet together. And then I'm going to reach the arms forwards, soften the groins down towards the floor, rotate the thighs out. Keep the knees moving down. You can take a higher blanket underneath the buttocks if you want to. So maybe we'll fold that blanket again and go a little higher. And then from there, I'm going to start to come forwards. Knees come down, thighs come down, don't overdo. And roll forwards from your buttock bones to your back waist. The buttock flesh rolls forwards, it goes with you. Again, I don't want to create a lower back problem here. So those of you who have got lower back issues, I would say stay up here. Don't go forwards into Baddha Konasana, it's too strong. Yeah, but if you can, you start to rotate from your buttock flesh forwards towards your back waist. The belt holds the feet together, inner heels, outer heels pressing. Soften the groins down. Sink the torso down into the thick black mud of the legs. So start to fold forwards. It takes time, you stay with it. It's not just a lower back movement, it's very much a glute movement. Yeah, and then inhale, press the hips forwards and come up. And stretch the legs out in front of you. So all of this stuff can be taken into your practice. Because it's the last one of the series, I'll send you out the link. I might even put the link up to the blog, onto the blog of the website, so that people can click on it. We're going to go into Setu Bandha from here. So a couple of options. My suggestion would be, if you can, cross bolsters. So if you have 2 bolsters, you go cross bolsters, but you raise the feet. I'll give you options here, by the way. So cross bolsters, you want your shoulders to rest on the blanket. So you might take a 3-fold there. And I would suggest that you have blocks under your feet. It needs to be a little bit closer. If you don't have 2 bolsters, replace this lower bolster with 2 long blankets. If this doesn't feel good, do Setu Bandha with your feet up the wall. So here, I'm going to go back. I do want my shoulders to come down. Sometimes we're further that way. I'm going to come further this way today. And I'm going to bring my feet up here. So I'm there. So shoulders are down. Yeah, my back slowly releases. And this is my Setu Bandha. Yeah. And it does feel nice after doing all of these poses. When you come out, you slide backwards. So try and make sure you've got space to slide backwards, otherwise you roll over. So set yourselves up. If this is too much for your back, just let me know and I'll give you another option. So if it's too much for your back, lie back lengthways. If you have a look at Ella, I'm not quite sure what she's doing actually. I thought she was doing something else. If it's too much, where's Beck Riley? She usually does a lovely one. I've lost her. There she is. Have a look at Beck Riley. If it's too hard on the back, notice she's got her feet right up the wall to the height of the hips and the feet are against the wall. So that's also a good option if this is just too strong for your back. Just take the feet higher. Yeah, and it works with blankets and bolster. It sort of works quite well to open the front of the body, the front of the chest. That's it. Nice. Who's that? Oh, Fiona, you got your camera on. Well done. I get such a good sort of insight into people's houses in this, don't I? It's great. So if it's strong on the back, just bring your feet up to the line of the hips. You don't really need to even have the feet low at all. It doesn't need to be in the lower back at all. Many lovely ways to do Setu Bandha. It's really it's a great pose. It's a tremendously healing pose for lower back issues, surprisingly, if you take enough height. Nice for pregnancy. It allows you to still lie on your back at, when you're not able to lie on your back anymore, or supposedly not able. Setu Bandha allows you to still take time on your back
and feel really open through the front of the body. If you've got reflux, if you've got a sore a sphincter, either you're getting reflux or it just feels you've got indigestion and heartburn, this is an amazing pose. Anything that opens the front of the chest in this way, in a passive way, can make a huge difference in pregnancy. I'm always interested in hearing what's worked for people in terms of heartburn in pregnancy. Lots of you have experienced that, I think. So it can be really quite healing for that condition. Soften the pelvic floor muscles here. Broaden across your back waist. Broaden across the base of the skull. Notice as you broaden across the base of the skull that that does help you broaden across your shoulder blades as well. Now, if it's too much, you could keep the knees bent, that's fine. Yeah. Just another minute there. And then from there, bend up the knees, place the feet to the floor and slide back off your bolsters. And just cross your legs on your bolsters. So slide all the way back, pelvis to the floor. Cross your legs. And then change the cross of your legs. And then from there, bend up your knees, place your feet to the floor, roll over onto your side, onto your right side, stay on your right side for a few moments. And from there, come up to sitting. Come to sitting cross-legged. Let's finish together with Yoga Mudra. Bring the palms of the hands together to the centre of the forehead. And from there, bow the head to the heart, to the wisdom and compassion within. And then release your hands and raise your head up. So any comments, any questions? We're moving into the last term now before Christmas. I have put the dates up for the summer intensive. It'll be for 2.5 hours for 5 mornings from the 27th to the 31st. I'm hoping that not only do we have a New Zealand bubble, but we have an Australian bubble so that I can get there. So it'd be lovely if that happens. Very nice. Any questions, comments? Anything that you've learned that you want to share?
I just wanted to make a comment on the Setu Bandha with the crossed bolsters.
Yeah.
Because the Setu Bandha just with one bolster was completely inaccessible for me for years.
Yeah.
And only now in the last few months, I started to do it with the cross bolsters, and that just seems to create this stability in the sacrum.
Yes, I think it probably gives you a lot more space. It's a bit like lying over a backbender. It's about as close as you can get to lying over a backbender without having a backbender. It really gives you a lot more space.
And it seems to create mobility now in the sacrum too. So it starts to become a really pleasant pose. Whereas I never could do it before.
Yeah, no, it's really good to hear, Petra. Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, how the same pose but done slightly differently makes a huge difference. Yeah, opening up the front of the body is really important. Anything else?
And then it creates, it seems to give more space to the lower back. So since I'm able to do this kind of Seti Bandha, it seems that I have freed up my lower back somehow.
Yeah, great.
That always used to tense up. So yeah.
Good, fabulous, fabulous. Any other comments, questions? Thank you for that.
Vanessa, I just noticed how much energy it gives you, because on Thursday night I did the class and was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I felt very energetic after. Not calm and, had energy.
Good. That's really
and
great.
same today.
Yeah. I mean, good combinations, I guess. If a sequence is good, you should feel energetic afterwards, really, and not exhausted. Iyengar used to say that yoga is very unusual in that rather than taking energy from the body, even with a strong sequence, it gives energy to the body and mind. And I think it does. It increases vitality rather. I always think about, working as a physio, I see a lot of older women that run a lot or swim a lot. And I often feel that their bodies feel exhausted. They are fit and they are strong. There's something that feels hard and exhausted about their bodies. And I don't see that with women who do a lot of yoga. I'm talking about women here because I see so many women for physio of a particular age. So it's interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Some of you ordered chairs. I think they've arrived. I think they arrived yesterday. So chairs and all sorts of other props. I think they arrived yesterday. I have sent you out emails. So Catherine's sent you all invoices for the props. I have sent you emails to say, can you transfer the money via direct debit rather than credit card? They didn't have any bolsters. So I'm sorry for those of you who ordered bolsters. They weren't going to get until the end of the month, and even that felt a bit iffy. So I just decided to go ahead with the chairs and the shoulder pads, and I didn't wait for the bolsters. I'm happy to order bolsters later on, but I just sort of wanted to get that done first of all. So they're there. You can pick them up from the yoga centre. Some of you go in for face-to-face classes, and they're there for you. Okay. All right. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Enjoy.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.